Such a beautiful and difficult passage. As I think I've said before, this made a big impact on me um, in my 20s and as a uh, young man struggling with his relationship to Catholicism and to Christianity. Um, the question that we have to ask, I think, is why Camus makes us witness the death of a child in the detail um, that he uses. I'm thinking of the moment of what's happening now here in Houston um, as the preparations are made for um, um, the deaths to come. The forensic investigators of Harris County are, as we speak, preparing. They're getting ready to deal with the physical reality of death for the victims of COVID-19. This is something they do all the time anyway. These are the people who work with the medical examiner to determine cause of death, but more importantly, they're responsible for the safe and respectful handling of the remains of the decedents. And now is a dangerous, dangerous time for them, because not only will they be dealing with a volume of which they're unaccustomed to, not only are they human beings who are subject to being sickened in the course of their work, they're also human beings who are witnessing what we don't witness on a daily basis. And this is happening in New York City, and it's happening in Italy, and it's happening all around the world on our behalf. Camus is showing us something that we all share and yet don't connect with. The work has been outsourced for us into hospitals and into the hands of people like the forensic investigators of Harris County. Camus needs to show us this because he wants to show us the limits of our reflection, the limits of our thinking, of our rationalizing. It's worth saying that Camus himself had an ambivalent relationship with this labeled philosopher, and engaged in it even as he denied that that was what he was doing. I have a note here for myself. At what point are our rational explanations themselves horrific and profane? At what point do they create for us a way of avoiding an immediate experience? And I would bring our attention back to that quotation that I had at the beginning of the last part from Camus' book, The Rebel. He talked about the acceptance of the desperate encounter between human inquiry and the silence of the universe. In other words, that no matter how much we need answers, no matter how much we need meaning, we are never certain. And there's great peril in manufacturing something that would conveniently keep us comfortable and allow us to avoid something very important. This is what he's critiquing in Christianity and in Panelou's Christianity. The idea is that there's a fantasy of heavenly redemption, that all of human experience is under God's eye, and that, as he says, as Penelou says in the passage, that can you just love what you don't understand? Rieux's urgent moral response is no. We can't avoid fully confronting injustice and human suffering. And anything that allows us to keep from doing that is immoral in Camus' understanding. So Camus has problems generally with the idea of teleology, and teleology in a theological sense, that there's a design to creation, that there's a purpose inherent in human existence. And I think it's important, as I conclude this section, to say that this is actually part of the Jungian heritage too. That, we often heard the phrase, the teleological unfolding of the self, the revelation of what is possible by increasingly opening ourselves to the unconscious. That the possibilities that may be lived through us, if we're open to them, if we're open to the encounter with the unconscious. I think it's important to understand that gets read in some pretty reductive ways and some ways that avoid the reality that 12-year-old children die who never get to individuate in a Jungian sense. And that any scheme that includes 12-year-olds and younger, and not just 12-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, any scheme that doesn't include the reality of human suffering is profoundly harmful to our humanity. Thank you so much for walking through this with me. I know that we'll have lots to talk about in the discussions this week, and I really look forward to having them with you.